It's now that we're back because you have to get out of Haiti. So now we're back in Florida, and I realize I'm not going to be able to stay with these nice people. Mm-hmm. And so I'm off again. Uh-huh. And so now when we pick back up, now I'm in the situation where I'm at a comedy club and I don't mean to be there, but...
How did that happen?
Well, because some of the carnies are going to this club.
Oh, got it.
And
you went
so
back to your
I'm
carny
with a
crew.
Group now, and we go there, and they're asking for ID at the door, and I'm not old enough to even be in there. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be a very embarrassing situation for me, which I'm not interested in. And then God comes as he always does, and somebody walks past, and they walk all the way past the line. They say, "I'm a comedian." And the guy goes, "Yep. You're number 4. And he walks in, and I'm like, well, there you are. He always delivers me this pathway. And so, bam, I'm comedian number 5, right? So I don't know what that means. I don't know now that we're inside of there. I don't know what goes on. Uh-huh. So they just explain, yeah, we're having a comedy competition. And
But don't you look 14?
Get 5 minutes? No, ma'am, I literally... had this mustache since I was 12.
No, you did not.
A full mustache. We're getting 5'5". I already didn't get the growth spurt.
So you got the hair.
I would have been suicidal if the Lord did not provide other provisions. But he did, right? And so he gave me a great outlook and a full mustache.
Right?
And remember, remind yourself what I'm wearing.
Well, I don't know.
I have this on.
You got
so you're still dressing well.
A white shirt, and this is all of my clothes. I don't have tennis shoes
dress
or
clothes.
shorts.
So you always dressed like a grown man. Right.
I've been grown the whole time.
Okay.
All right, so you get in the comedy club, and they say, all right, you got 5 minutes.
Right. So I just get up there, and I talk about being the Black community for this entire city. Like, there's nobody but me. I'm the only Black guy. There's nobody else. And I talk about what that experience is like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was my 5 minutes. And
did anybody laugh?
Oh, they loved it. They thought it was hilarious because, again, what I didn't understand is I didn't understand why it connected. Mm. But it connected because it was all true. Mm-hmm. Like, there was no Black community there. It was just me. And everybody was looking at me like, what are you doing here? And, you want to hear what that guy feels like about his surroundings.
What did it feel like to make people laugh? Was that new? I mean, because you were you had been used to public speaking.
Right.
Because
at 5, I'm in front of crowds of 10,000.
Converting folks.
Well, that wasn't my job.
Yeah.
Everybody that was in the arena was already converted. I'm reading Bible scripture and giving a talk about this particular... Right. Uh-huh. So I just kept asking God to show me a glimpse of where I'm going to be. And I just kept hearing applause. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know what they were applauding or what it was that I had done or said. So it was really frustrating for me before comedy came along. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I did it that first time, I was like, that's crazy. I think I got something from that. How could I have got something
from that? Was that talking? The vision?
So it's probably not another. It's probably if I'm 16 then it's almost another 8 years before I do stand up. But I just had that in my head that this is a thing I could do. Mm. So then I go into door-to-door sales. I join this organization that travels around the country selling books and magazines. And
all I'm thinking is,
I see all
this
is
a movie, and we have to do it at a higher ground. I mean, we're going to finish this story, but I'm just like, dude, I'm watching this movie.
Yes, ma'am.
As you were telling it.
Right.
Anyway.
And I've done my best to try to live accordingly, knowing that it's going to get looked back on, you know?
Yeah. So I did interrupt you because, it was later on, so you realized that comedy was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you were doing the door-to-door salesman work.
Right.
To still
Which
earning
again, I'm in another experience that is shaping me for everything that follows, because now every door I don't know who is going to answer this. Hispanic, Asian, white, Black, monetary level. I don't know anything. And I need to connect with this person. I need to ease their fears about a stranger at the door. I then need to be funny and engaging so that they smile. And then I need them to make this purchase that we both know they don't need.
What were you selling?
It started with books and magazines, and then it was cleaning product at the end.
Wow.
All right, so door-to-door salesman, comedy next, or was there something in between?
I'm doing the door-to-door sales when I knock on the door of 5 ladies of the night, and they are in a traumatic situation because their pimp was murdered, and they all witnessed it, and they didn't know what they were going to do. And
this is another what? I know everybody here is just
so
what?
I volunteered for the pimp position on the auspices that
you
they
were
would
already
have
dressed
to train
for
you how to do it.
Okay.
Right?
You were already dressed for
We're
the
getting
part.
there.
Yeah.
We're getting there.
Okay.
So they trained me how to do this job, right? And they taught me so much. I wasn't there very long, but those ladies really, along with my sainted mother, those ladies really showed me what it was like to be a man. And they, because every night for hours, they would just talk about everything wrong with men. Men of all nationalities, shapes, sizes, and colors. What's wrong with them? Why are they horrible creatures? And I was able to, at a still impressionable age, learn things and learn what bothers women, and realizing that I was in charge of so much of that.
We have questions that we get from our listeners, but before we get to that, what advice would you give a young Katt Williams coming along? And maybe not even a Katt Williams, because you're so unique.
One of one.
You're so unique. What would you give to a young up-and-coming artist who sees you as a role model? What advice would you give them on how to navigate this industry, this career, these processes?
I would say, if you believe in God, take as much pressure off of yourself as you can and apply that pressure to Him. If you believe in God, then you know that in His books, He's got certain contractual obligations as well. It's certain things He has to do in certain situations. And it's okay if you put Him in those situations. It's okay for you to say, I believe there's a God, and I believe that if there is, He loves me and He would help me in this situation. It is impossible for you to do that and then watch something happen and not know where that comes from. And so any artist, I would just say, make sure that your relationship with God is one of the relationships that you're also working on, whether it's spouse, kids, everything else. make sure to pay attention to your relationship with God, because it really is the difference maker in how things turn out. Everybody doesn't serve God. Some people serve the devil, and they put him in positions, and it's terrible to say, but if that person has a better relationship with Satan than you do with God, that's your fault too. And so I think that's the only advice that I would give to an artist, is to find your higher power and connect. Because until you do that, you're just a rudderless ship out here. And I know from my own personal experience that it doesn't matter how young you get that relationship. It's never too early.
Speaking of relationships, what's your take on relationships? Have you ever been
I love
married?
relationships.
Have you ever been married?
No, never married.
Do you believe in marriage? Or do you
I
believe
do.
in?
Yeah, my parents are still married.
Yeah. Well,
I
what
had a
about you?
wonderful
What about
example.
you?
Yeah. What about me?
You've never been married. Would
Right.
you want to be? Have you found the right person? Is it not something that you're interested in, settling down with a single person? Do you envision what your parents have for yourself ever? Is that even a goal? That's exhausting.
No, not really. It's not that. It's yeah. I think marriage is great. It's just that at the point in my life when that would have been the next thing that I was going towards, that's when I had this instant huge family.
Yeah.
And then I was just so reticent to bring a person into this dynamic just because of how unfair that would be to this lady to have all of these kids that are not hers. And so I was trying to make myself a better version of me in advance for this wife, right?
Yeah.
But in the meantime of that, I'm the one doing the cooking and the laundry and the cleaning and the school wake-ups. And so it got to the point where I was the wife.
Yeah.
And yeah, so where I am now, I finally have something I could offer a lady, I suppose. Monogamy has not been a part of my journey. I've tried to share this gift with whoever needed it.
Why limit it? Why limit why limit the world?
This gift for
You're
whoever
precious.
needed it. My man. Okay, Katt.
And you love. I love it. I do. Because why? That's the ultimate
He
question.
is all of our hero.
But you have a farm. Not to There's so much. There's so many kind of little surprising layers.
Right.
So
yes.
you
lovely farm.
A lovely farm. Is it like a full working farm? I mean, are you?
We have 100 ducks, 100 geese, cows, pigs, goats, sheep. We have animals that you never see. It's just a wonderful 100 and some acre property in Americana that's just magical. And it's the thing that I am creating, which is Heaven on Earth, the name of the tour. But it's a whole philosophy of whatever you think the afterlife is going to be for you, you can start making that for yourself here somewhere.
Do you tour every year? Or how does your tours, how do you think about that? Is it like training, like you want to be on tour every couple of years or how do you think about
I'm an athlete. I have the same season as my athlete counterparts. So in the NBA, they play 82 games. I'm not sure what it is in baseball, but I have 100 shows. I do 100 shows and then I tape a special. And that's been the routine that I've had since I think 2001 was my first one. So
is this that work ethic that the lawnmower kid that got you that $1,200, the feeling like if I'm doing it, I got to do my best. I got to put it in. I got to,
Well, I met Prince when I was 12. And he changed
how did that
the
happen?
trajectory of belief for me. Like I knew I didn't have to make any changes. This was a guy who was shorter than me. He was already rich and famous.
Yeah.
And he had a purpose in life. And so a relative of his was my first girlfriend. She was a little older than I was. So if I was 12, she was 16. She had a family member that was coming into town. He was a musical artist. Because of my background, I wasn't really up on all of the musical artists as you would think that I would be. But
you had wooed her with all the candy that you supplied.
I don't know if you can tell this, but I make really good conversation. And, money's not an object. And I only care what you like. So it makes me a good conversation.
And you have the mustache.
Right. I got a mustache and candy. What more you want? But yeah, so she's like, yeah, he's just going to be here after his show at the UD Arena. And you should meet him. So I ride my bike over there and I go in the house and I meet this guy, Prince, right? And you ever meet somebody and go, ooh, this person's way smarter than me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was really my first time being in the vicinity of real brilliance, like when it's not for show. And so we're having this super deep conversation.
And you're 12.
Right. And we are connecting and we have decided at the end of this conversation, we're friends, right? So I get ready to walk out, say bye to my girl. He says, you'll walk me down. So me and Prince are walking down these steps, but he's thinking we're going to my car. When we get down to the bottom of the steps, my bicycle is right there. And he's like, what's that? I was like, what do you mean, what's that? That's my, I'm thinking he likes it. I'm thinking he's noticed I've got the tricked out mongoose.
Yes.
He knows
it's
I'm
mine.
Full of cash. Yeah, you're looking at it. And that's when he lets me know that he's 18, a grown man. I'm 12.
Wow.
But because of our sizes, we just assumed that each other was the same. I don't know what I was
Sizes
saying, but
and mustaches.
That's
right. So he gave me the confidence to know, because up until that point in my life, I thought that there were some things I was going to need to do in order to be good enough. Like, I got to get taller. I don't know. This might be the first mistake God has ever made. Like I can't find evidence that anyone in the world missed a growth spurt. Like, you have to understand, ma'am, 3rd grade, I'm 5'5". A giant among men.
Like, I
big
got
man
this.
On campus. Like,
truly, right. It's like, man, and that was it.
So Prince helped me see immediately I didn't have to get taller.
Yeah.
He already had just signed his his music deal. He had just produced his album by himself. He played 26 instruments on it. He did all of the jobs.
Yeah.
And it had worked. And so I knew that I didn't have to make any changes. I just had to be in the right position and be right myself when it transpires. So super helpful, that guy.
Yeah, no, that would be, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Well, let's help some folk. Let's help one of our listeners.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we've got a listener from San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
And her name's Amber. And I think her question is going to resonate with you. So,
Hi, Michelle and Craig. I love the podcast. My name is Amber. I'm 32 years old, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I opened my own salon at 22, and since then, I've navigated both personal and professional challenges. After a difficult relationship and some time living independently, I believed I had found healing and stability. But due to unforeseen circumstances, I had to move back home, which has brought its own emotional complexities. Over the past 2 years, I've been seriously considering relocating to New York City or Boston, not only to pursue greater opportunities in my industry, but also in hopes of building a life that breaks generational cycles. I've been taking small, intentional steps, investing in my business, putting myself out there, and making growth a priority. When I listened to your conversation with Kiki Palmer, I was struck by the part where you shared how you began seeking new paths and meeting people after realizing law wasn't your true calling. So, my question is, when you were stepping into unfamiliar spaces and pursuing something new, did you feel overwhelmed or afraid? If so, how did you move through that fear without letting it stop you?
All right.
That's a big one.
That's
It's a doozy.
Okay.
That's a college level essay question. So any thoughts for Amber, just off the top of your head?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Okay. Amber, you're doing the work. And when you do the work, an answer comes out. So I don't think that you're confused in any way. I don't think you're wondering what it is you need to do next. I think you already know. I think you know that there isn't anything for you at the Riverwalk. San Antonio is a wonderful place, but it's not going to get you to where you see yourself being. I think very specifically you picked New York and Boston. If the fear is what you're dodging, the fear is necessary. The fear is there for a reason. The fear is to make sure that you don't take this for granted this time and end up in San Antonio for the third time. The fear is useful. On the other hand, you're only going to look back and go, I should have left earlier. Why didn't I go earlier? Not anything else. You're not ever going to regret this decision. You're going to regret the time it took you to get to this decision. All of the new relationships, your whole new life is there. And you deserve at 30, whatever you are, to be able to pull that parachute and do a new life. And if you mess that one up, go from New York to Boston now. It never stop being in search of your calling and your purpose. It is there. You are going to find it. You're right on schedule. You're not behind. There's nobody to blame, and there's only upside. So I think you're doing great, Amber. I think you know you're doing great. I think you just wanted us to reaffirm that you're making the right decisions. You're not crazy. And yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Katt. Wise Katt. All the layers of Katt. I like it. I like it. I would address the fear part of it because I talk about fear a lot. I agree. Fear is there for a reason, and it's just interpreting the fear that you have. There is an element of fear and caution and everything, and that's a good thing. I always say there's the good fear that keeps you safe, but you just don't want to overindulge the fear that keeps you stuck, because fear can keep you stuck.
Absolutely.
I mean, there are a lot of people who don't experience, don't try, don't grow because they're afraid of the unknown. And that can leave you in a small place, because all the good stuff happens on the other side of fear. When you lean into it, get comfortable with it, know it's a part of the ride. If you can bear with that initial sort of the anxiety that comes with anything new, and say that's normal. It's normal that I'm starting something new. I don't know anyone. I feel a little anxious about it. Ride that wave of anxiety, but don't let it stop you, because when you do, you miss the growth that comes from taking a risk and pushing beyond the thing that makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If you practice moving away from that fear, you just practice always feeling safe.
Yeah.
But you'll look around and realize that you might feel safe, but you won't be happy, and you probably have missed out on a lot of really amazing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not safe.
And you're
where
not
you,
safe.
Where you are.
That's right.
There is no bubble of safety because this is where you're from.
Yeah.
You might as well have that experience. Because she said in her industry, right? So, yeah, she's not going to make it out there in Texas doing hair for celebrities. She's got to get to
go where the work is.
New York and Boston.
Yeah. So that's
great. Both of you have hit on some really good points. Fear is healthy. And you can't let fear paralyze you so that you don't do anything. And the only thing that I would add, just to contextualize this for Amber, is that you're always going to be nervous about the next step. So take it so you learn what that feels like. And each time it will be less fearful. That's what I found. The first hard pivot is the hardest. And then after that, you build that muscle and you're less afraid to try new things.
Or at least they will remain consistent. So I'm the other part of the extreme. So every time that I have to do stand-up, I'm as nervous and direct as I was the very first time that I ever did it, and got like every single So even though we're almost at 10,000 shows in my 23rd 100 city tour, like that nervousness and the butterflies and it never has gone away. It's what allows me to realize something's counting on this. There's something on this. You must do well.
You're passionate about it.
Right.
Yes.
And you need that in your life as a barometer so that you don't take things for granted. And it's in no way should stop you. It should further. Why would you be getting nervous for something that wasn't going to matter?
That's right.
If you're nervous and fearful, there's a good reason.
That's true.
Still do it.
Yeah. We like that. Well, hopefully, Amber, we wish you good luck.
Right.
Keep going. I think Katt said it right. You know you're on the right track, and we are all confirming that you are. So keep going.
And we hope to see you in New York.
Yeah, and let us know, how it goes when you make that move.
Right.
Katt, this,
my man.
You a layered little dude.
Right.
The layers of Katt.
Heavy on the layers.
Katt's like, I know.
Yeah, I know. Katt, thank you. This was a real privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting us on your list. Making the time.
Your very short list.
Most of my things are like that.
Say you set them up for that.
That
one.
was the
king of the short list.
Point guard.
Right.
Alley-oop.
That's how this goes. Yeah. No, I really appreciate the opportunity that you both are making for yourselves and for others. Like, this is really a big deal.
This has been a treat. You are truly a gift in more ways than one. So thank you. Katt Williams, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
Everybody, give it up.
All right, so I just finished watching this clip of Katt Williams breaking down what bothers women, and I gotta say, this man is operating on a completely different level of understanding. Like, I'm sitting here wondering how a comedian can have more insight into relationships than half the therapists out there. This is wild, man. Absolutely wild. So Katt starts off, and you already know he's about to say something that's gonna make people uncomfortable, right? Because that's what he does. He doesn't sugarcoat things, he doesn't play it safe, he just goes straight for the truth. And he opens with this line about how men think they know what bothers women, but they really don't have a clue. And immediately, you can feel the tension in the room, because every man is sitting there thinking, wait, I know what bothers women, and every woman is sitting there like, oh, this is about to be good. And then Katt just unleashes. He starts talking about how what bothers women isn't always what men think it is. Men think women get mad about the big stuff, the obvious stuff, like if you cheat, if you lie, if you forget an anniversary. And yeah, those things matter. Katt acknowledges that. But what really bothers women, according to Katt, is the small stuff, the subtle stuff, the stuff that men don't even realize they're doing because they're not paying attention. He goes into this whole bit about how women notice everything, and I mean everything. He's talking about how a woman will remember a conversation you had 3 months ago, word for word, tone for tone, and you don't even remember having the conversation. She'll remember what you were wearing, where you were standing, what the weather was like outside. Meanwhile, men can barely remember what they had for breakfast that morning, and this creates a fundamental disconnect in how men and women experience relationships. Katt breaks it down like this. Women are operating on this high-definition, surround sound, 4K resolution level of awareness, while men are out here operating on like dial-up internet levels of consciousness. And that gap, that difference in attention to detail, that's where a lot of the problems come from. Because women are picking up on signals that men don't even know they're sending. Women are reading between the lines, while men are still trying to figure out what the lines even say. He gets into specifics, and this is where it gets really good. Katt talks about how women are bothered by inconsistency, not just in the big ways, but in the small ways. Like if you used to text her good morning every day, and then you stop, she notices. If you used to hold her hand when you walked together, and then you stop, she notices. If you used to ask about her day, and actually listen to the answer, and then you start just nodding along while scrolling through your phone, she definitely notices. And here's the thing that Katt points out that's so brilliant. Women don't always say something right away when these things bother them. They're collecting data. They're building a case. They're watching patterns. So by the time she finally says something, she's got 6 months of evidence compiled in her mind. And the man is sitting there confused, like, why are you bringing up something that happened in March? It's September. But she's bringing it up because it's part of a pattern. It's part of a bigger picture that she's been seeing all along, that he's been completely blind to. Katt does this hilarious bit about how women remember dates. Not just birthdays and anniversaries, but like random dates that have significance that men don't even understand. That's the day you looked at that girl in the grocery store a certain way. That's the day you said you were too tired to talk, but then stayed up for 2 hours playing video games. And men are sitting there like, how do you even remember these dates? I don't even remember these days existing. But women remember because to them, these moments matter. These moments tell a story. And then Katt gets into what he calls the accumulation effect. He explains how it's never really about one thing. Women don't usually blow up over one isolated incident. It's about the accumulation of small things over time. It's about feeling unheard, unseen, unappreciated in 1,000 tiny ways, until one day, boom, she explodes over something that seems trivial to the man. Like you left a dish in the sink, and suddenly World War III breaks out, and you're standing there thinking, it's just a dish, but it's not about the dish. The dish is just the straw that broke the camel's back. After months or years of feeling like you're not pulling your weight, not paying attention, not caring enough. Katt also talks about emotional labor, and this is where he really shows his depth of understanding. He explains how women are often doing the invisible work in relationships. They're remembering everyone's birthdays, planning social events, managing the household, keeping track of appointments, maintaining family relationships, and doing all this emotional and mental work that goes unnoticed and unappreciated. And what bothers women is when men don't even recognize that this work exists, let alone acknowledge it, or appreciate it, or help with it. He does this bit about how men will say, Just tell me what you need me to do, and I'll do it. But that's part of the problem. Because by saying that, you're asking her to do more labor. You're asking her to manage you on top of everything else she's managing. What she wants is for you to see what needs to be done, and just do it without being asked. She wants you to notice that the laundry needs folding, that the kids need help with homework, that the bathroom needs cleaning, and just handle it without needing a written assignment from her. And Katt breaks down how this plays out in arguments. He talks about how men think arguments are about solving the immediate problem, but for women, arguments are often about addressing deeper issues, patterns of behavior, feelings that have been building up. So a man will try to logic his way out of an argument, presenting facts and rational explanations, while the woman is trying to express how she feels. And these two approaches are like ships passing in the night. Neither person is wrong, they're just speaking completely different languages. He gets into this whole thing about how women are bothered by being dismissed. Not just in obvious ways, but in subtle ways. When she brings up something that bothers her, and he says, "You're being too sensitive," or "You're overreacting," or "It's not that deep," what she hears is, "Your feelings don't matter. Your perspective is invalid. You're the problem, not me." And that dismissal, that invalidation, is incredibly damaging to a relationship over time. Katt also talks about how women are bothered by the double standards they experience. He goes into detail about this, talking about how women are expected to look good, but not care too much about their appearance. Be confident, but not arrogant. Be assertive, but not aggressive. Be smart, but not intimidating. Be independent, but not too independent. The list goes on. And men often don't even realize they're perpetuating these double standards because they've been so normalized in our culture. He does this brilliant comparison about how if a man gains 20 pounds, nobody says anything. He can show up to a family gathering looking like he hasn't seen a gym in 5 years, and maybe his buddies will give him a hard time. But that's it. But if a woman gains 20 pounds, suddenly everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice. Everyone has a comment. And she's supposed to just smile and take it, while also being told she's beautiful just the way she is. It's exhausting, Katt points out. The mental gymnastics women have to do just to exist in the world is exhausting. And then he gets into communication styles. And this is where he really starts cooking. Katt talks about how women communicate in layers. When a woman says, "I'm fine," she might not be fine. When she says, "Do whatever you want," she doesn't actually want you to do whatever you want. And men take these statements at face value because that's how men communicate. Men say what they mean directly. But women are often communicating subtext, context, emotion underneath the words. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not really listening, you're going to miss what's actually being said. But here's where Katt shows real wisdom. He doesn't just blame men for not understanding. He acknowledges that women also need to be more direct sometimes, that mind reading isn't a reasonable expectation, that both sides need to meet in the middle. He talks about how communication is a two-way street, and both people have to be willing to step outside their comfort zones. Men need to pay more attention to the subtle stuff, and women need to be more explicit about what they need sometimes. Katt also touches on the importance of feeling valued and appreciated. He says that one of the things that bothers women most is when they feel taken for granted, when all the things they do on a daily basis go unnoticed and unacknowledged, when their contributions to the relationship, to the household, to the family, are just expected rather than appreciated. He does this whole bit about how men will go to work and expect recognition for providing, but then don't recognize or appreciate all the work women do that often goes unpaid and unseen. He talks about the power of simple acknowledgement, how sometimes all a woman needs to hear is, "I see you. I see what you're doing. I appreciate you." But men get so caught up in their own stuff, their own stress, their own problems, that they forget to do this basic thing. And over time, that lack of acknowledgement breeds resentment. It makes women feel invisible in their own relationships. Katt also gets into the topic of emotional availability. He explains how women are often bothered by men who are emotionally unavailable or emotionally immature. Men who can't talk about their feelings, who shut down when things get deep, who use anger as their only emotional outlet. Women want partners who can be vulnerable, who can communicate their emotions, who can engage in real, meaningful conversations about the relationship and life in general. He does this hilarious impression of men trying to avoid emotional conversations, like physically backing away from the conversation, changing the subject, turning on the TV, suddenly remembering they have somewhere else to be. And women are standing there, wanting to connect, wanting to understand, wanting to be understood. And the man is doing everything he can to escape the moment. And this avoidance, Katt explains, is incredibly frustrating for women, because it makes them feel like they're in the relationship alone. But then, Katt digs even deeper. He starts talking about how women are bothered by feeling like they have to compete for attention, not just with other women, but with work, with friends, with hobbies, with phones, with video games, with sports. He talks about how in the modern world, there are a million distractions, and women want to feel like they're a priority, not just another item on a to-do list. They want quality time, not just quantity time. They want presence, not just physical proximity. He does this bit about couples sitting on the couch together, but the man is on his phone the whole time, and the woman is trying to talk to him, and he's giving these one-word responses while scrolling through social media or checking scores or whatever. And from the man's perspective, he's spending time with her. They're together, aren't they? But from her perspective, he's not really there. He's not present. He's not engaged. And that bothers her, because it makes her feel unimportant. Katt also talks about how women are bothered by lack of effort. He explains that women notice when men stop trying, when the courtship ends and the complacency begins, when you stop planning dates, stop giving compliments, stop doing the little things that made her feel special in the beginning. And men often don't understand why this matters. They think, we're together now, we're committed, I don't need to keep doing all that stuff. But women see it differently. To them, stopping the effort means you don't value the relationship enough to maintain it. He goes into this whole thing about how relationships are like gardens. You can't just plant seeds and walk away. You have to water them, tend to them, pull the weeds, give them sunlight. And when men stop putting in effort, the relationship withers, and then they're surprised when the woman is unhappy, when she's pulling away, when she's feeling disconnected. But Katt points out, you can't neglect something and expect it to thrive. And then he addresses something really important, how women are bothered by being compared to other women. Whether it's an ex-girlfriend, a friend's wife, a celebrity, whatever. Women hate being compared, because it makes them feel like they're not enough, as they are. Katt talks about how men will sometimes make these comparisons without even thinking. Like, oh, my ex used to do it this way. Or my friend's girlfriend doesn't mind when he does that. And every time a man makes a comparison, even a seemingly innocent one, what the woman hears is, you're lacking, you're deficient, someone else is better than you in some way. Katt also gets into the complexity of what women want versus what they say they want, and he does this in a way that's both funny and insightful. He talks about how women will say they want a nice guy, someone who's sweet and attentive and caring. But what they really want is someone who's strong and confident, but also sweet and attentive and caring. They want complexity. They want depth. They want someone who can be tough when the situation calls for it, but tender in private moments. And men often get confused by this, thinking they have to be one thing or another, when really, women want the full spectrum of human emotion and capability. Yo, I just watched this clip of Katt Williams talking about how to succeed in 2026 and discover your purpose. And let me tell you, this man just dropped some of the most profound wisdom I've heard in a long time. Like, this isn't just comedy anymore. This is straight-up life coaching, motivational speaking, spiritual guidance, all wrapped up in Katt Williams' signature delivery. I had to pause the video multiple times just to process what he was saying, because every sentence was hitting different. So, Katt starts off by addressing where we are right now in 2026, and he's talking about how this year is different from any other year we've experienced. He's breaking down how the world has changed so dramatically over the past few years, how technology is advancing at a pace we can barely keep up with, how AI is reshaping industries, how social media has completely transformed how we communicate and perceive reality, how the job market is nothing like it was even 5 years ago. And he's saying that in this new landscape, the old rules don't apply anymore. The old formulas for success are outdated. The old ways of thinking about career and purpose are obsolete. And then he drops this bomb. He says that 2026 is the year where you either evolve or you get left behind. There's no middle ground anymore. You can't just coast through life doing the bare minimum and expect to thrive. The world is moving too fast, changing too rapidly. You have to be intentional. You have to be focused. You have to know who you are and what you're about, or you're going to get swept away in the chaos. Katt talks about how people are more distracted than ever before in human history. We've got notifications coming at us from every direction. Social media algorithms designed to keep us scrolling endlessly. Streaming services with unlimited content. News cycles that move so fast you can barely process one crisis before the next one hits. And in all this noise, in all this distraction, people have lost touch with themselves. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they value. They don't know what their purpose is, because they're too busy consuming everyone else's content, everyone else's opinions, everyone else's lives. He does this whole bit about how we're living in an age of comparison on steroids. You wake up, check Instagram, and see someone your age buying their third house. You go on LinkedIn and see people with job titles you can't even pronounce. You scroll TikTok and see teenagers making more money than you doing dances. And all of this creates this constant feeling of inadequacy, this sense that you're behind, that you're not doing enough, that you're failing at life. And Katt says this is by design. This is how these platforms make money. They keep you feeling inadequate, so you keep consuming, keep scrolling, keep searching for the thing that's going to make you feel whole. But here's where Katt flips the script. He says the secret to success in 2026 isn't trying to keep up with everyone else. It's not about doing what society says you should do, or following some predetermined path that worked for previous generations. The secret is tuning out all that external noise and tuning into yourself. Really getting quiet, getting still, and asking yourself the hard questions. What do I actually want? Not what my parents want for me. Not what my friends think I should do. Not what looks good on social media. But what do I, in my core, genuinely want out of life? And Katt acknowledges that this is terrifying for a lot of people. Because when you strip away all the external expectations, all the societal programming, all the shoulds and supposed tos, you might discover that what you really want is completely different from the life you're currently living. You might realize you're in the wrong career, the wrong relationship, the wrong city, pursuing the wrong goals. And that realization can be devastating. But Katt says it's also liberating, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You can't fix a problem you won't admit exists. He gets into this whole thing about purpose, and this is where it gets really deep. Katt says that everyone has a purpose, but most people never discover it because they're looking in the wrong places. They think purpose is this big, grandiose thing, like you have to cure cancer or end world hunger or become a celebrity. But purpose, according to Katt, is often much simpler than that. Purpose is about using your unique gifts, talents, and experiences to serve others in some way. It's about finding the intersection between what you're good at, what you love doing, and what the world needs. He breaks it down like this. What comes naturally to you that others struggle with? What do people always come to you for help with? What activities make you lose track of time because you're so engaged? What problems in the world break your heart? The answers to these questions, Katt says, are clues to your purpose. But most people ignore these clues because they don't seem impressive enough, or profitable enough, or significant enough. But Katt argues that every gift matters, every talent has value, every perspective is needed. And then he addresses the money question, because obviously, everyone wants to know how to actually make a living while pursuing their purpose. Katt says that in 2026, there are more opportunities than ever to monetize your unique skills and knowledge. The internet has democratized access to markets and audiences. You can teach what you know, create content around your expertise, build communities of people who share your interests, offer services that solve real problems. But the key, Katt emphasizes, is authenticity. He goes off on this tangent about how people can smell inauthenticity from a mile away now. We're so saturated with content, with people trying to sell us things, with influencers pushing products they don't actually use, that audiences have developed a sixth sense for fakeness. And that means in 2026, you can't fake it till you make it anymore. You have to actually be it. You have to genuinely believe in what you're doing, genuinely care about the people you're serving, genuinely live the values you claim to represent. Katt talks about personal branding, and he says it's not about creating some polished, perfect image. It's about being so unapologetically yourself that you attract the people who resonate with your energy and repel the people who don't. And that's actually a good thing, because you don't want everyone. You want your people, the people who get you, who appreciate you, who need what you have to offer. He does this brilliant analogy about how trying to appeal to everyone is like trying to be all things to all people, and you end up being nothing to no one. You dilute yourself, you lose your edge, you become generic. But when you lean into your uniqueness, when you embrace what makes you different, weird or unconventional, that's when you become magnetic. That's when you stand out in a sea of sameness. And then Katt gets into the mindset piece, which I think is the most important part of this whole thing. He talks about how success in 2026 requires a completely different mental framework than previous generations operated with. He says you have to become comfortable with uncertainty, with change, with failure. The world is too volatile, too unpredictable to expect linear progress or guaranteed outcomes. You have to be adaptable, resilient, willing to pivot when necessary. He talks about how the old model was, go to school, get a degree, get a job, work for 40 years, retire. That's dead. That model doesn't exist anymore for most people. Jobs that exist today might not exist in 5 years. Skills that are valuable now might be automated tomorrow. So you can't base your entire identity and security on one career path, or one company, or one industry. You have to diversify. You have to keep learning. You have to stay relevant. But Katt also pushes back against the hustle culture mentality that's been dominating for the past decade. He says this idea that you have to grind 24/7, sacrifice everything, burn yourself out in pursuit of success is not only unsustainable, it's counterproductive. Because when you're exhausted, stressed, depleted, you can't do your best work. You can't think creatively. You can't show up fully for the people in your life. And what's the point of success if you're too burned out to enjoy it? He advocates for what he calls strategic intensity, periods of focused, intense work followed by periods of rest and recovery. He talks about how nature operates in cycles, seasons, rhythms, and humans are part of nature. We're not machines. We can't just run at full capacity indefinitely without breaking down. So part of succeeding in 2026, according to Katt, is honoring your humanity, respecting your limitations, and building sustainability into your approach. Katt also addresses fear, which I think is so important because fear is the #1 thing that stops people from pursuing their purpose. He talks about how everyone is afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of not being good enough, afraid of wasting their time on something that doesn't work out. And these fears are valid, he acknowledges. But he says the real tragedy isn't trying and failing. The real tragedy is never trying at all, and spending your whole life wondering what if. He does this powerful bit about regret, saying that when you're old and looking back on your life, you won't regret the things you tried that didn't work out. You'll regret the things you never attempted because you were too scared. You'll regret playing it safe, staying comfortable, letting fear make your decisions for you. And that regret, Katt says, is a heavy burden to carry. So he encourages people to reframe failure. Don't see it as a final verdict on your worth or abilities. See it as data. See it as feedback. See it as part of the learning process. Every successful person you admire has failed multiple times. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They extracted the lessons, adjusted their approach, and kept moving forward. And then, Katt talks about the importance of community in 2026. He says you can't succeed alone. You need people who believe in you, who support you, who challenge you, who hold you accountable. But he's also very clear about being selective with who you allow into your inner circle. He talks about how not everyone deserves access to you, how some people are energy vampires who will drain you, discourage you, or hold you back because of their own insecurities and limitations. He says you need to audit your relationships regularly. Who in your life is lifting you up? Who's tearing you down? Who's genuinely happy for your success? Who gets weird when good things happen to you? And you have to be willing to create distance from people who aren't serving your growth, even if it's uncomfortable, even if they've been in your life for a long time. Because in 2026, your energy is your most valuable resource, and you can't afford to waste it on people who don't appreciate or reciprocate it.